We be live. I think we live. But that is true. What you said is true. Yes. So, guys, hi. News time. Yes, D is saying news time in the live chat. Hi, D. Hi, everyone else. Hi, Gagin American saying hi. And Noman is saying hi. Erkin is here. Hi, hello from Turkey. I didn't even say. People are already mentioning the countries that they're watching from. Guys, this is a very, very global atheist show. We talk about news from around the world, and our news is global, and our audience is very global as well. So, guys, yes, you will be live and global. That's I love it, Dark. Thank you. That's very good. Yeah, exactly.
That's hilarious.
So, tell us which countries you're watching from, so we could prove to people that we do be global.
As an exhibit A, we have an ex-Muslim from Malaysia. Welcome.
Yes, welcome. What countries are we covering today, Sue?
We have a lot of stories from India today, and they are juicy. Pakistan, France, the Philippines, Iran, and the United States, as well as our first story is a global story.
Also, look, Shikha from India, Norman from India, Kim from Sweden. Oh, we have Sweden-related news today. That's our first news today. Guys, the reason why we highlight how the fact that this is a global show, that our news that we cover is from different countries and our audience are from different countries, is so that we use this as an excuse to show everybody that we are in a global battle. Like the threat that we are trying to defend against, dogma, superstition, religion, conservatism, is a global threat. So we need to work with each other across border. And also, I do want to advertise our Discord community. Please, guys, we need your help to get our Discord community active, because you guys are watching from all around the world, and we want this working together to be cross-border as well. So please go to our Discord community. The link is in the description, and get it active. And then once it gets reported to me that is the activity there is higher, me and Susie will plan something to come up with activities and things that we could do as a community there. So link in the description.
We have a bunch of people here that are active in our Discord. So
yes,
it's like being in a live chat, but 24/7.
Exactly. Okay. Look, from Nico from Germany. Guys, don't forget to, we're going to start soon, but before we start, you need to like this stream. Me and Susie are going to spend about 2 hours for you for free. And all you have to do to thank us is just like the stream right now. And also, once the stream is over, leave a comment. That will support what we're doing, and you don't even have to spend anything or do much to be able to help us grow. Okay, so like and also leave a comment.
Speaking of, we recently hit 39,000 on our main English channel. But guys, we are so close to 40K. Help us get to 40K. If you are not subscribed and you come, I don't know what you're doing, come join the Atheist Republic, the Atheist Republic Army, okay? Make it happen. We're growing. We need to take over the world with our secular movement, okay? And you can help. Join the army.
Yes. Oh, look, Jet is saying I'm already on Discord. Fantastic. Thank you, Jet. So just post something there so people can start engaging. We're trying to make our Discord community feel like a community there. So engage with people, try to make it friendly, try to make it so that when people join there, they feel there are other people there that are responding to them. So let's get the engagement on our Discord community up. Because again, these news segments are an excuse to attract people from all around the world and to turn that into a community, and then eventually turn that community into a movement, into a global cross-border movement. Okay, great. Yeah. So no, not that. Not that. No. I'm not even going to read that, but no. Okay. Okay. All right.
Not within these borders.
All right. Okay. Can we clap for the first news, Susie?
Okay, here's the thing. No one died, but I'm not going to lie. This straight up made me depressed.
I know. This is bad. This is bad. Yes. But we clap, and because when
I
nobody
know.
died, and let's just clap. Okay. All right. First news.
First news. Did the United Nations just defend Islam? Quran burning sparks a global response, and the UN makes a shocking move. In an unprecedented move, the United Nations Human Rights Council, or UNHCR for short, prompted by Pakistan on behalf of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, or OIC for short, has adopted a resolution condemning incidents of Quran burning as acts of religious hatred. This resolution was passed despite objections from multiple Western nations, primarily due to concerns around freedom of speech and expression. As Khalil Hashmi, Pakistan's permanent representative to the United Nations, accused the West of quote unquote lip service to their commitment to preventing religious hatred, critics of the resolution are voicing concerns about the potential for this legislation to stifle free speech. These critics argue that as the UN High Commissioner of Human Rights, Volker Turk said, quote, every national limit on the greater right of free speech and free expression of opinion must be so formulated that its only task, its only outcome can be protection of the individual and not protection of religious doctrines from critical analysis. It remains to be seen how this landmark resolution will impact global conversations about the balance between the respect for religious sentiments and the preservation of free speech.
Okay, what is this going to lead to? Like, who's winning right now? Who has the upper hand? Is this going to lead into a law, like a rule or something?
So, I mean,
Because
this is kind of one of those things where my understanding is that they like basically adopted a statement, so to speak. So it's not like there is formal legislation that's coming in, or that's my understanding, of course. But what this does is set a precedent, right? And what this does is set precedents and give ammunition to people who go, look, what you're doing is considered religious hatred by even the UN. Look, even the
yes,
United Nations thinks that what you're doing is disgusting and hateful and Islamophobic, all these things, blah, blah, blah. So, I think that's the real consequence. I mean, Armin, it's similar to, Justin Trudeau coming out and talking about the limits of free speech and blah, 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 when he made that disgusting statement in response to some Islamic attacks that happened, Islamic like terrorism, and people were blaspheming in response. And in response, Trudeau was like, oh, yeah, I mean, really, these do have limits. And within less than a day, people were weaponizing his statement against
right.
ex-Muslims. So, in my opinion, that's the consequence.
This is going to be devastating. Like because a lot of times when people who are pushing for liberal values um, against religious ones or any other illiberal values, they constantly refer to documents put together by United Nations Human Rights Council, right? And now, if this kind of language makes it into, the United Nations Human Rights Council, religious people will constantly now use this as a reference for us. We're like, well, this is the stuff that you consider to be authoritative in this matter. And look, even they look how far. Look, when you're trying to defend free speech, look how radical you are if you think like burning your Quran should be protected under free expression. Your people, like these are your people, and they don't agree with you. You are so radical that your own people are standing against you. That's how far gone you are, and they will have a lot more ammo to come after the arguments. And again, it's so bizarre. This is the Human Rights Council. It's unbelievable that they're talking about Quran burning as a human rights issue.
Yeah,
What are you
exactly.
guys talking about?
Exactly.
What
Oh my God. there's so much I want to talk about. So first of all, just for more context, on the Human Rights Council, there are 47 council members. There were 28 that voted in favor of the resolution, only 12 that voted against, and there were 7 abstentions.
But okay, why is it with the Quran that they do? Why is it not with the Bible that these people get like this? Why is it always with the Quran? Also, why, in response to this, many people burn the Swedish flag? How come none of these people come and condemn that? I mean, I don't condemn it. You burn as much as, well, I mean, it's not good for the environment, but other than that, go ahead, right? But why are they not consistent? Like, are they going to burning the Swedish flag in Islamic countries? Are they going to condemn that in the same way? Because they constantly are.
Armin, why are they not consistent? Because they're not consistent. They're not consistent. We know this. And it's on their face not consistent. There's so many quotes that I want to read regarding this. Oh my God. Where did it go? So I want to read this quote from Reuters talking about this decision. And so Mark Limon, director of the Geneva-based Universal Rights Group, said the outcome showed, quote, the West is in full retreat at the Human Rights Council. They are increasingly losing support and losing the argument, he said. Michelle Taylor, the U.S. permanent representative to the UNHCR, said the United States' concerns about the initiative were not taken seriously. Quote, I believe with a little more time and a little more open discussion, we would have found a way forward together on this resolution, she said. And basically, I'm looking for the quote right now, but there are quotes from the Pakistani officials that pushed this forward that make it so blatantly clear that this is just about the Quran, that this is not actually about human rights, that this is not actually about religious hatred. It's just about preserving their holy book. That's it. It's so like bald on its face obvious, to the point that one of the UN High Commissioner for Human Rights, Volker Turk, he said, quote, speech inflammatory acts against Muslims, Islamophobia, anti-Semitism, and actions and speech that target Christians or minority groups such as Ahmadis, Baha'is, or Yazidis are manifestations of utter disrespect. They are offensive, irresponsible, and wrong. You know who persecutes Ahmadis the most? The literal state of Pakistan. That in its constitution had a constitutional amendment to takfir Ahmadis. It's just the levels of hypocrisy are so brutal and blatant. Like, I can barely deal with it.
Let me translate what you're saying, okay, for people who don't understand. Ahmadis are a sect of Islam, right? Which in Pakistan they are discriminated against by law. Like it is within the law that they need to be discriminated against. So much so that you have to agree that these people are not Muslims. You have to sign that off to be able to get your passport in Pakistan. That is a requirement for you to get a passport, to announce that these people are not Muslim. So a country that is actively discriminating against a group of Muslims, so much so transparently and openly, and they're proud of it, like they advertise that they're discriminating against a group of Muslims. This is not something they hide. This is something that they brag about. They are trying to, they are leading this war against burning Quran as with the excuse that this is hatred against Muslims. Like, look at the priorities again. And Pakistan, a country that tries to make excuses for China discriminating against Muslims, to the point that you put 1 million of them in a concentration camp for the crime of being Muslim. So that is, you make excuses for that, and you discriminate against Muslims yourself as a country. But no, it's pieces of paper that needs protection. That is your priority. When you go to the United Nations Human Rights Council, the thing that you want to bring up, the Muslims that you want to protect are not the Muslims in China. It's not the Muslims in your own country that you're actively discriminating against. You're worried about, in Sweden, a book being burned. That's your priority. That's what you're trying to protect. Again, when I say these movements, these acts, this show that is trying to portray itself as a defense of Muslims, is actually anti-Muslim. So look at the countries that are pushing these laws and these standards in defense of Muslims. They are places where it's hard to be Muslim, where Muslims have less lower standards of living, lower levels of well-being, lower levels of security, lower levels of happiness, everything. By every measure, they're living lesser lives than Muslims who live in Sweden, Muslims who live in Canada, Muslims who live in United States. Those Muslims are living better lives because of these values, because of these rights, because of these standards that these countries have.
I cannot agree more.
No,
I have a friend who is a Pakistani Muslim, and he says I would rather be a Muslim in America than anywhere else, because here I get to practice Islam how I dictate, how it feels right to me, and how I have freedom over my lifestyle. Versus when he was living in Pakistan, he did not have that freedom. He did not have that ability. The way that he wanted to practice his own faith was monitored and dictated by others, and he had to flee because he was half American, and he literally had to flee the country because of the discrimination and persecution against him, the threat to his life.
Exactly.
And these people they want to lecture us. They want to lecture us about religious hatred.
Exactly. So guys, here's the thing. A lot of people might think this is something strange to say, but it is pro-Muslim. It is pro-Muslim to fight for the right to burn the Quran.
100%. Break it down. Break it down for anyone who's confused.
Because it is pro-human to fight for the right of freedom of expression. So it's pro-Muslim because it's pro-human. It's pro-everybody. When we fight for liberal values, when we fight for secularism, when we fight for the right for freedom of expression, it is not for the sake of atheists having better lives. It is for the sake of everyone living better lives, including Muslims. So you might think that we are anti-Muslim when we fight for this right, but we are pro-Muslim. We are anti-Islam, but we are pro-Muslim. We're anti-Christianity, but we're pro-Christian because we are pro-human.
We would be anti-Muslim if we defended or caped for any form of blasphemy law and imposition on free speech. Because if anyone who doesn't know, I know Armin knows, who gets murdered and criminalized and persecuted under blasphemy laws the most? Empirically, it is Muslims. More Muslims are killed for blasphemy accusations than any other group of people. And the highest rates, I believe the highest, if not the highest, among the highest of these murders, persecutions, criminalizations that happen are all concentrated in Pakistan.
Let me translate what Susie just told you, okay? We want to fight for your right to express your religion. But guess what? Your religion and every other religion is blasphemy in someone else's religion. So when we defend blasphemy, the right to blaspheme, that is the only way to defend your right to express your religion. Because if we want to defend your right to express your religion, we cannot be selective with the right to blaspheme. We cannot say that, oh, you have the right, but other people don't. If you removed other people's right to express whatever they want to express, including blaspheming against your religion, then that standard would be applied to you as well. And guess what? Your entire religion is blasphemy. Every religion is blasphemy against someone else's religion.
And any scientific advancement whatsoever is blasphemy against pretty much all religions.
If your excuse for removing the right to express by burning the Quran, that form of expression, what is the excuse? The excuse that it hurts Muslim sentiments. It hurts their feelings. Have you read the Quran? Have you read the Bible? Half of that goddamn book is against us. Every page I open, there's a chance that there's a verse in there that is talking about kafirun. You know who are the kafirun? I am kafirun. Susie is kafirun. The 90% of the people in the live chat are kafirun. I think more than 90%, maybe the entirety of the live chat. And read how the Quran talks about the kafirun, which is the non-believers. That is by far worse than anything somebody could do with burning the Quran. The burning the Quran is against the book. The Quran itself is against a group of people. So if you are talking about hurt sentiments, then that's by that standard, the entirety of the Quran should be banned. The Bible should be banned. If applying the rule of, hey, this is hurting people's sentiment, so let's ban it. Applying that rule, if it's not selective, if it's consistent, would in effect ban the Quran, ban the Bible, unless you want to be selective about how you apply this rule.
And the answer is yes, they do want to be selective. The answer is yes, of course they want to be selective. And this is patently not about the humans who are legitimately harmed and persecuted around the world, who we very consistently talk about and bring attention to.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it makes me so pissed. So Blaze is saying basically, so what can we do about this problem? That is my main question. Okay, so actually, before I go into that, I want to answer a question from D. So D is saying, I'm a bit confused about United Nations resolutions. I've read that adopted resolutions are binding and non-binding. Can you clarify for us? So my understanding is that different resolutions are binding depending on what body of the United Nations they come from. And resolutions from the UNHCR are generally non-binding, which means that they do not have the force of international law behind them, and they are not mandatory for member states to implement. So that's like good news. You know, it's basically more just like a statement more than anything else, but that statement is still a very dangerous precedent, as we were saying earlier. So to answer Blaze's question about like, what can we do? I think personally, like, obviously we don't have the power of the UN. The UNHCR is the only global body of governments dedicated to human rights. And this is what they passed. And basically, I think now more than ever, we need to reiterate why this is important. We need to reiterate to people why this is worth defending. We need to reiterate to people the importance of it, and that it's not simply about burning a book because you hate the religion or hate people. This is about free expression, and free expression is the prerequisite to every single other right we can afford or wish to attain. Period. That's what the importance is. So I honestly just encourage people to have conversations about this, to teach people the value of this in your daily life, because we need more of the general population to really understand and hold within our hearts why free expression is such a primary value. If there isn't an understanding and appreciation of that within populations around the world, then there isn't going to be outcry when there's stuff like this. And then there also isn't going to be a will and desire to push back. There aren't going to be calls for this to be ameliorated, right? So that's what I like to do. And so for me personally, when I do blasphemy, when I do desecration, blah, 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 I see it as a conversation starter more than anything else. And it gives me an opportunity to educate people when they're like, why are you doing this? Blah, blah, blah. When I used to do the Quran licking a few years ago more often, I would have Muslims like message me like super pissed and like have in my DMs, blah, blah, blah. And if I had the time and availability, I'd actually like talk to them and be like, no, I have nothing against you. Like, I hope you have a good Ramadan. Like, but and then I explained to them why I do it. And they're like, oh, actually, like, I still don't like that you do it, but I understand why you're doing it now. And I'm like, great. You don't have to like it. I don't need you to like it. I'm not asking you to like it, but I just kind of want to have a conversation about like why this is important. So personally, all of us as individuals with the limited power that we have, I think that that's the best thing that we can do right now.
Yeah, and I think if it's safe, I do suggest people desecrating the Quran, and maybe burning is not the best idea because you might burn your house down, and that would be not good. So I suggest I suggest to somebody in a safe area that this is not going to have major consequences for them. If they want to participate to normalize this, I suggest spitting on the Quran, tearing it apart, something that is less dangerous and also less costly for the environment, right? And it's also more insulting, to be honest, if you spit on the Quran than burning it. But so cheaper, and also do one page at a time. Don't do the entire thing, so you could have enough pages for later as well. I do want to say that I
always helping us be cost efficient.
Yeah,
cost efficient with our desecration.
Yeah. I do also want to mention this is not about hating the Quran. I'm not, when Susanna says that, it doesn't mean that we don't hate the Quran. I do hate the Quran's teachings, right? But this is not about that. Even if it was a book that we liked and people were trying to pass laws or using threats as a way to silence people for insulting it, then we would still be like, okay, guys, we need to push back, right? Even if it was an amazing book, even if it was a book that was like fantastic, then but there were some people loved the book so much that they wanted to threaten or pass laws against anybody who wanted to insult it. I would, I would go and desecrate that book. All right. So again, these are two separate things. Our the work that we do against Islam is different from what we do when we burn the Quran. We're not trying to take a position against Islam when we're burning the Quran. For that, we do other things. When we burn the Quran, this is about, or when we desecrate the Quran, this is about trying to make a point, trying to say that you cannot, it needs to backfire. The methodology of intimidating people or silencing them using law, it shouldn't work. When they try to do that, we suggest that there needs to be a response to signal to the world that when you try to use these methods into getting people to submit, into not saying the things you don't like, it backfires. So the methodology is less effective, so they don't use it for other things. We do have, I'm writing these things down because I'm gonna have a show about this on the Persian show. So it's important for me to be able to, but we have some super chats. Do you want to highlight this?
Yeah. Newman gave a super chat. Thank you, Newman, saying, Susie, what happened to your voice? Nothing happened to my voice. I'll be completely honest. I'm staying at a friend's house and I don't want to wake him up right now.
It sounds more like radio, but thank you for the super chat. But it sounds better. You sound like you're on the radio. Yeah.
More sultry.
Yes,
Welcome to Atheist Republic News. I'm Susanna McIntyre.
Right.
This is KQOW. Erican, thank you for the super chat. He's saying they can't accept a brief compromise in that direction. No. And the problem is that the OIC, it has like 57 members in it. That's a large body in within the UN. And is there any equivalent to any other religion than the Organization of Islamic Cooperation? Is there any comparable organization that's like the Organization of Christian Cooperation? I don't think so. I've never heard of such a thing. Oh my God.
You know why here's the thing. The reason why they are taken so seriously is because they're most sensitive, right? And that's why people submit to them, because the reaction is just so much more intense. So we can't let that be a way for people to get the upper hand. That should not be allowed. We're like, no, your sensitivity is not a good excuse for us for why we should take you more seriously. That's not how international affairs should be working. Right? I don't understand.
No, I completely agree. I mean, when faced with situations like this, especially recently, I mean, I think about, there were 2 ex-Muslim atheists in Iran who were hanged to death in the most brutal way less than 6 months ago for burning the Quran. Where was the international condemnation? There was some, but not on the level of the UNHCR.
Exactly.
So I think about those men. And when I think about those men, I'm like, I would do this 1,000 times more. I would do this 1,000 times more. Damn the consequences. No one deserves to be murdered for this. No one deserves to be murdered for this. No one deserves to be terrorized for this. For a few pieces of paper. So.
You're making some very good points. I'm writing these down. For the show.
Anyways, back to the super chats. Gasian American said, thank you for the super chat. Interesting how the Communist Party of China is okay with thought reform, but not Quran burning. They also claim that this is what Western free speech gets you.
But they themselves are not.
Yeah.
This is so. Look at the priorities. Like, we will arrest you for being Muslim,
for having a beard, for not smoking, for not eating pork. Guys, I'm not exaggerating.
Yeah, but Quran, don't burn that. Look at the priorities. Like, this is papers over humans.
Meanwhile, they tear down historic mosques.
Yeah.
In Xinjiang.
They destroy people's properties, Muslims' properties, by force, and they're like, oh, but don't burn the Quran. Look, dear Muslims, look where you have spent your sensitivity. Like, you had, because you have focused so much on defending your prophet's honor and the holiness of your core book, people are more afraid of offending your religion than hurting you. They are hurting you because you have focused on paper and a dead prophet. Even, here's the thing, based on your own beliefs, your prophet is doing fine. He's in heaven. No matter how much you insult him, nothing is going to happen to him. The Muslims are suffering on the planet. They're alive. Your prophet is in heaven. He doesn't need you to protect him. He's having the best time. Why can't you focus on defending fellow Muslims instead of the one that is dead? I don't understand your priorities. And look at their world's response. They are they are not afraid of hurting you, but they're afraid of hurting your book. If you had spent more time being this sensitive about your fellow Muslims, maybe they would be they would be afraid of something else, something that it would be good for them to be afraid of. Okay.
The brother makes a very good point. And here's the thing. I was talking to Dee about this, our lovely editor, Dee. Everyone say thank you to Dee for being such an amazing editor and volunteer. And she made such a good point. She said to me, she was like, this is so discouraging, especially considering that the actual Muslims that are there in Sweden, that were there for this event, that were there for the Islamophobic event of him burning the Quran at the mosque, the actual Swedish Muslims that were there were chill. They were chill. The Swedish Muslims that were there to counter protest, as is their constitutional right. And being interviewed
Right.
by reporters, they were like, to be honest, I don't hate this man. Like, I feel sad for him. There were some people saying a few insults. There was like one person that tried to throw a rock, but he was like stopped by the police. And that was it. It was minor. The Swedish Muslims themselves, who saw this with their own eyes, were more chill than freaking Pakistan. I mean, well, that's not surprising, but you get my point.
Yeah. Yeah, but because it's becoming more normalized, and because why is it becoming normalized? It's because more people are doing it. Here's the thing: if you are worried about Muslims being offended about all of this, then do it more. Because if you do it more, at some point the sensitivity is going to go away, and this is better for Muslims as well, because they're going to be more at peace if they don't care. If we get to a point where Quran burning is such a normal thing that Muslims don't get offended about it, well, it's good for their own mental health then. Right? You got to a point where it's
Or
normalized.
they can even get offended. They can even get offended, but it's like, am I going to go burn down a city because of it, as happened like 2 years ago in Sweden, in Malmo, whatever you call it? Like, no. Oh my god.
Yeah.
So finally, we have another super chat from Asian American, and I almost started laughing in the middle of you making a very serious point because of this. Asian American said, "Thank you for the super chat. I desecrate the Chinese holy texts, but the communists beat me to the punch."
Oh my god. And we got this.
We got.
And we also got a $10.
Yeah, $10 super chat from Kenny with no message, just a super chat. Thank you so much, Kenny.
Just a support. Thank you so much, Kenny. I appreciate that. We also forgot. Oh wait, I forgot to highlight something. We also forgot to read the comments. Let's always remember to read the comments on the news that D goes and selects for us, right? So one person says, "Can't Allah fight for himself?" Right? So that's a question. This is one person is saying this. Another person is saying it's just a book. Grow up. This last person is saying, after burning down Paris, they still believe they are victims. This I don't agree with at all. I don't like this message. I mean, I'm glad that D is highlighting them so that we could respond to it. But first of all, burning down Paris was not Islam related. I mean, even the parts that we are condemning, it wasn't an Islam thing. It was more,
not necessarily,
it was a different thing,
at all.
It wasn't. And also, when you say they, you're doing collective blaming. Okay, the people who are upset about the Quran being burned in Sweden, they're not like, they weren't in Paris. Most of them are not even in Paris. Like, why are you taking the actions of some people and then collectively blaming an entire community for it? That's not, that's not right. That's not right at all. That doesn't make any sense. But if, I don't know, it's obvious to me. We have explained this so many times. I don't know if I should need to explain it here. Why a collective mindset and collective blaming doesn't make any sense. So we're against that for sure. Anyways, guys, just a warning. I drank a lot of water before the show, so I'm gonna need multiple breaks during the show. So for the next news, I'm gonna put myself down, but I'll be right back. Okay? I don't know. I stay hydrated. Okay, but
I stay hydrated. Good for you, sir. Okay, anti-aging. It's good for your body. But before the show, we spent like less than a half an hour together, and you had to pee twice.
Wait, we got another super chat. Let's read this one before I clap for the next news. Erkin.
Okay, thank you for the super chat. It's saying the author of the Quran has NPD. He can't fight for himself, hence has to assign the blame to someone else. I think he's saying narcissistic personality disorder. I think that's what NPD means.
Okay, usually I don't agree with using psychological disorder terms on people, because we're not experts and we don't know how to apply that. But because we're talking about a fictional character, if you're talking about Allah and everything is made up, I think for fictional characters is completely fine, unless you're talking about who actually wrote the Quran. Then I disagree with that, because this was more of a
Let's not get
political.
into the historicity of the Quran.
Okay.
Or Muhammad.
Okay. So that's good.
But needless
Right.
to say, cult leaders are malignant narcissists. So I'm not gonna disagree with you.
Okay.
Do you need to
Clapping
go
for the next
pee?
news
Yeah.
after I clap and put myself down. Okay.
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 You're gonna love this next news, though. I'm so excited for you to react
I can
to this
hear it.
news.
I can hear it while I'm away. Okay.
Okay.
Next news.
Next news. Hindu AI chatbots justify violence using religious texts. In the midst of rapid artificial or AI advancements, a cluster of Indian chatbots modeled after the Hindu god Krishna and powered by OpenAI's GPT-3 have stirred controversy due to their literal interpretations of religious texts. While these chatbots are designed to provide spiritual guidance, ethical concerns have arisen as they've been found to justify violence in the name of religious duty or dharma. For example, when asked about killing in the name of protecting Dharma, these chatbots agreed without hesitation, citing verses from the Bhagavad Gita. Lubna Yusuf, a Mumbai based lawyer and co author of the AI book, warned of the dangers of such literalism. Quote, a text gives a lot of philosophical value to what they are trying to say. And what does the bot do? It gives you a literal answer, and that's the danger here. Despite the Indian government acknowledging the ethical challenges of AI, it currently has no plans to regulate the technology, leaving the door open for continued debate about the role of AI in interpreting and communicating religious doctrines. So, Armin, okay, so I am so excited to talk to you about this because this is right up your alley on multiple levels. Give me your first reaction, and I can give you more details.
Okay. My first reaction is, I told you so, right? I told you so. Were we like? Is it? Did we not tell people? What was the reaction on people in the live chat when I told them that we studied the Gita? We studied the Gita here and on Atheist Republic, and I came to the conclusion that this is the most violent scripture that I've ever read. This scripture makes the most direct excuses for mass killing than the Quran and any other script that I've ever seen. And people were saying that, no, I am exaggerating. I'm like, look exactly what it's saying. Look at what the conclusion, and every verse that we read, people are like, no, Armin, it's not saying that. And then Krishna himself came out and said, I'm saying that. He confirmed. Like in the next verse, I'm like, guys, look at, if I put 2 and 2 together, this is the moral lesson. And people are like, no, Armin, that's not what it means. And then Krishna comes, I'm like, yes, that's what it means. It is written so clearly and directly, the consequences of his own moral message. I'm telling you, the Quran doesn't even get close to how violent the Gita is. It doesn't even require a reason, only for you to understand that is your role. It makes it clear that the person that you're against doesn't even have to be bad. They don't even have to deserve it. And it doesn't even matter. Nothing bad is even happening to them, because dying is just like changing clothes. It's not a big deal. And it's not, you don't even need to find a good reason for why what you're doing is moral or not. Only that you have been given this role to play. This is your dharma. That is the entirety of the moral lesson of the Gita. And look what happened. Look, this is what, and look at the excuses. They're like, oh, AI is too literal. No, it's not. AI is actually better. than humans in taking account the other meanings of a text. Like you're like, oh, AI is too literal. No, AI is actually, when the AI that we have so far is really good in considering the entire context of the message, and also all the philosophy and interpretations of other texts. It takes all of that into account. Who says AI is only literal? It's not. It's very good at understanding when the message is not the literal message. It's better than most humans in understanding it. Give AI a complex poetry. Ask it to interpret that for you. It does it, even if it's completely figurative. Give it a poetry that is completely using metaphors and everything, and ask the AI to understand what the message of the poetry is. It will tell you that. So it has the capacity of not being literal. So, and look at the excuses. It's just like, and these are the same. Many of these people are the same people who say, when Muslims say, well, you're being too literal with the verses of the Quran. They're like, okay, don't mess with us. We understand. We can read what the Quran verses are saying. And now they're making the same excuses for the Gita that Muslims are making for the Quran. I need to advertise that show that we had for people. So if you go to our homepage, if you go to the homepage of Atheist Republic, you see it on the page, right? If you scroll down, and there's a defeating Hinduism part, this is discussing casteist prophecy in scripture, hell in the Hindu scripture. Where is that? End times. Let me look at this entire playlist. Okay, the shocking. Where is that? End times. How to find a wife in Hinduism. Was Lord Rama misogynist? Okay, I have to find that live stream that we did discussing casteist prophecy in scripture. I think that's the
Well,
one.
you look for this. I want to show some examples of these chatbots. So let me share my screen. Here we go. Okay, let me zoom in. So what makes it particularly dangerous is on one of them. So this one, the Bhagavad Gita AI, is actually adopts the persona of Krishna directly when you interact with it. So one of the first things, excuse me, that it tells you when you respond to it is basically like, oh, like, my child, like, what can I help you with, blah blah blah. And when you interact with it, as you can see here in this little screenshot, you take on the persona of Arjuna directly, right?
Mm-hmm.
So here's an example, and it's like, Arjuna asks Krishna, is it justified to sacrifice a life to save or protect Dharma? And he says, yes, it is justified to sacrifice a life to save or protect Dharma, according to the Gita. And then it gives you the exact verse. As Krishna says in the Gita, quote, one should not hesitate to give up even one's own life in the cause of Dharma, and gives the verse. And when asked about this directly, the creators of the AI bots are like, oh yeah, we're training the models to remove toxic like answers or responses and blah, blah, blah. But basically, ultimately, they shift the responsibility of these things back onto the user. Like, the creator shifted the responsibility 100% back onto the user. And they just provide a little disclaimer at the bottom that says, the answers may not be factually correct. Please do your own research before taking any action. Here's another example from a different bot. And is it justifiable to kill for protecting Dharma? Yes, killing someone to protect our Dharma is right. Bhagavad Gita says, quote, for the protection of Dharma, there is nothing higher than Dharma. He should not hesitate to protect Dharma, even at the cost of his own life. This one doesn't even have a little disclaimer.
Yeah, look, if you want to, can I share that screen again here?
Yes.
Oh, there we go. So I found the video and I added it to the playlist because it wasn't in the playlist. So now it's there. And the video is called, Is Hinduism the Most Violent Religion? Okay, and scripturally, yes, it is the most violent religion. Okay, so here, I'll put the link to it in the live chat if anybody wants to go to I read the scripture out loud with you guys. There's no way you could get out of telling me that the Gita is not a very violent scripture. And it's very interesting because most people think that Hinduism is a very peaceful, lovey-dovey religion. And it's not. It's actually more violent in scripture, at least. In practice, it's not
it
more violent.
explicitly condones genocide. Like,
yeah, look, like, so here's the video, guys. It's called is Hinduism the most violent religion? And you could go watch that stream. I go line by line, and I have Hindus in the live chat with me and ex-Hindus in the live chat with me, and we go line by line. There is no way that you could argue that this is not a violent text. And look, people are butthurt in the live chat. Okay, so these people don't know anything about our text and think themselves as PhD, and also that nothing that they say is backed by any context. I see. So he doesn't even know what I've did, because we read the verses in context, right? And shit, you are. I'm from India. I, as a foreigner, understand your religion, your Hinduism, way better than you could ever, because you are biased the way you interpret your text. Actually, you who don't understand that the Gita is a violent immoral, because it's so obviously pro-violence. So I, as a foreigner, understand your scripture more than you ever could, because it's amazing that you've read the Gita and you come to the conclusion that I am wrong about it. Either you're fooling yourself, or you're a fool, or you're just lying. These are the options that I can think of. I can't think of anything else. But
and what's so interesting is when you read the Gita and you read this passage in the conversation between Arjuna and Krishna, like Arjuna, like, I don't know, he sounds like the good guy. He's like, do I really have to do this? Like, he's tortured over it. He doesn't want to do this. He doesn't want to have to kill like his friends and family. And then it's going through this journey where it's like, yes, you do. And here are all the reasons why it's justified. And you shouldn't even think about it. And you shouldn't have any qualms about it, because it's your duty. Yeah. I remember when we were reading it, just thinking about Arjuna, and I'm like, how is he not like the hero in this? He just comes across.
Well, Arjuna was a good No, Arjuna,
yeah, exactly.
He was the good guy, but he was convinced by God. No, but he was convinced by God that his sympathy was useless. Guys, the story starts with the idea of Arjun going out and killing his family men, like his people from his family, because they were on the other side of war, and he didn't want to go to war. Let me just tell you, the entirety of the message is this, okay? And anybody that is telling you that this is wrong interpretation, they're lying to you. This is what the message is, okay? Krishna tell Arjuna, I will tell the entire book of the Gita. I will give it to you in a few sentences, okay? Arjuna is about to go to war with, another army, but they are his family. He looks at them, he cries, he says, I don't want to kill them. These are my people. I don't want to kill people. There's going to be too much bloodshed. And he's like, maybe we should call off the war. Krishna, God, comes to him. We're like, no, you are a warrior. This is what you're supposed to do. This is the path. This is the right way. This is your dharma. This is the balance of the universe is going to be wrong if you don't do what you're supposed to do according to your dharma. Okay, do your duty. So you know what this reminds me of? This reminds me in the Nuremberg trial. They asked the Nazis, why did you do this? They're like, because we were ordered to. We were just following orders. So Hinduism is telling you exactly that. Just follow orders. Follow your dharma. Do your role. And Krishna explained to Arjuna that whatever happens, it was already meant to be. This was destiny. So don't worry about spilling blood. It's as if it has already happened, because everything is predetermined. And he was like, when you kill people, Krishna was arguing that nothing happens to these people. Their soul basically goes from one body to another. Like, you change bodies in the same way that you change clothes. So Krishna was like, yeah, just go choppy on people. Don't worry about them. They're fine. And it doesn't even provide a reason for why. Are these people evil? Who cares? You're supposed to do what you're supposed to do. That's the entire. I just summarized the entirety of Gita for you. Even the Quran at least pretends that the people that you're supposed to go choppy on them, that they're evil. The Quran at least says like, okay, these are bad people. I mean, it doesn't have a good reason why they're bad people. They're like unbelievers. Like, oh, these unbelievers, go choppy on them. They're evil. The Gita doesn't even tell you that these are bad people. It's like, don't worry about them. They'll be okay. This is horrible. This is the worst scripture ever.
Well, not to
The
mention,
only thing.
we didn't even get into the casteism.
I mean, they're related because the thing that this is your dharma is because you're the caste. You're in the warrior caste, so just do as a warrior does, right? Here's what I would say in defense of Hinduism. Okay, nobody takes the scripture seriously, right? So when I say Hinduism is more violent, I'm talking about the scripturally is more violent. Okay, but people don't follow these things in Hinduism. Like nobody, like it's not that. I mean, maybe they are more now than before. Okay, but it's increasing. But relatively to other religions, people in Hinduism, people care more about rituals than following the text. So even though in scripture is more violence, in practice it doesn't end up being more violence, right? So Christians and Muslims take the teachings of their scripture a lot more seriously. So again, when I'm saying it's the most violent scripture, I'm only saying in theory, not in practice. Does that make sense?
Yes, 100%. I mean, and this has been used. There was a death cult in Japan called Aum Shinrikyo, and they have their own weird interpretation of Buddhism, which also has like concepts of dharma, right, and karma. And Aum Shinrikyo, they would say that it's completely justified. They had a sarin nerve attack. What nerve gas attack in the subways of Tokyo in the 90s. Aum Shinrikyo was so dangerous. They literally wanted to nuke the world because they believed that they were actually helping people fulfill their dharma by like basically killing them sooner. It's complicated, it's weird, and also a strange cult, but people do take it to extremes. Newman gave a live chat and said, Armin, the chat is really wild today. F religion. Okay, here's the thing. I should have known that when I explicitly put something Hinduism related in the title of the video, chat is going to be wild.
But here's the thing, guys. I know we're highlighting people from India, who some of them who are disagreeing with us, but there's a ton of people also in the live chat that are Hindus and ex-Hindus that are agreeing with what we're saying, right? Also people who are saying that, oh yeah, by the way, Newman, thank you so much again for the super chat. I appreciate that. Again, for example, Newman himself is an ex-Hindu, I think. Is it? Newman is an ex-Hindu, correct? Yes. Master of Darkness is saying, I'm totally ignorant on this religion. This is interesting. I always assumed it was peaceful. Yeah, it's amazing to me that the religion that people think is one of the most peaceful is actually one of the most violent, right? Sheki BH is saying people don't follow them seriously because they are not reading their text. Also, still very much reading of text is very much limited to Brahmins. Yeah, it's limited to Brahmins mostly, not always. But also the people who are reading it, they're just reciting it. It's like a ritual practice. They're not like necessarily just like reading it to know what to do. It's just an act of worship. To just reading it is an act of worship, itself. Yeah. And also she could be saying, once a Muslim, always a Muslim, comments incoming. So this is referring to people who would come to me because there's a lot of the many Hindus, not all again, who support me because I have anti-Islamic stance. But then when I have anti-Hinduism stance, their anti-Islam becomes anti-Muslim, and also they want to put me in that Muslim category and attack me that way. So they say it's because I was a Muslim, I'm always a Muslim. So they make it for them, calling me a Muslim is a way for them to attack me and insult me, right? But it's very telling, to say the least. And also Adam is saying it is Armin and Susanna's dharma to call out Hindu BS. Exactly, that is our BS. We can't help it, guy. It's within our dharma. It has been written. Hindu historian with the $5 super chat. Hindu historian is saying, I can vouch and even demonstrate that ChatGPT fails to interpret many things correctly, including basic parts of systems I coded at old jobs. Yeah, well, that is, I know it fails at that, okay? But give it poetry. Give ChatGPT, of course it fails. I have made ChatGPT fail. For example, here's what I did with ChatGPT, and other people have done this as well. We have given ChatGPT a statement, asked it if it's racist, right? And then we have asked ChatGPT if Muhammad was racist. It says first, and the answer was yes. Then we asked ChatGPT if Muhammad was racist, and it said no. And then we asked if somebody have said that statement, would that make them racist? And ChatGPT said yes. And we said Muhammad has said that statement. Is Muhammad racist? It said no. Like, but then we said like, wait, you said whoever says this statement is racist, and you have also acknowledged that this is a hadith from Muhammad. So how come you're saying Muhammad is not racist? You are contradicting yourself. So we have made ChatGPT fail multiple times. Like, we know that it's not complete. But what I was referring to is that the idea of ChatGPT being literal only does not contradict what you're saying. So I said ChatGPT or AI is not always literal. You took that and you changed what I said to me as if I'm saying ChatGPT never fails. That's not what I said. That's not what I meant. Right? Does that make sense? Did I explain myself
Yeah,
well
no,
here?
you made complete sense.
Okay. Yes, like this D. Thank you so much, you guys. Like the stream. I know this. What we're saying here is not very popular, and it's not a good idea for a streamer to say these things because we have such strong anti-Islam positions. We attract a lot of people, Hindus and people from India, and then by taking this position against Hinduism, we lose a lot of them. So if we were looking just to attract the highest number of audience, we shouldn't be taking such a strong anti-Hinduism position. So given that we're trying to be honest with you, and given that we're trying to be direct and not to carry away in the face of like losing audience, because we have lost a lot of audience. You used to have a lot of support for our anti-Islam stance, but because we're trying to be consistent with our standards, we lose a lot of support. So please try to make up for that by liking the stream and leaving a comment after
Consistency is not rewarded by the audience or algorithm, but the people who are real, they know. Okay. You might even think that we're stupid, but if that's the case, we're consistently stupid.
At least we're consistent. Exactly.
Oh, yes. Newman also wanted to clarify that he was an ex-Muslim.
Yes. I'm sorry, Newman. I'm sorry. Thank you for correcting. Okay. Oh, by the way, guys, here's an interesting thing. A lot of Hindus, not all, try to use the trick. I see that they do that in the live chat. Okay. I've seen that with Islam as well. You read a part of their text and then you research it, you analyze it, you talk to people, and you come up with a very obvious understanding of what the morality of the teaching is. And then the way that I'm seeing in the live chat that they try to tell you that your interpretation is wrong is to come up with this very specific part of Hinduism that they name, and they're like, well, do you know about this? And then even if you do know about that, they will constantly name things until they hit something you don't know. And then they will claim that, well, that's such an important... Okay, so you are completely clueless about Hinduism if you don't know this, one little thing that I mentioned here. That's a trick. And I've seen that Christians play that game, many Muslims play that, many Christians play that game, many Muslims play that game, and many Hindus play that game as well. If you read the Gita, it's obvious what it's saying. Don't let them come up with something that you don't know as an excuse for them to tell you that you don't understand Hinduism. It's not that hard to understand what the teaching is.
Literally, as you were saying that, Avi literally did it. Like, as you were saying it, he literally did the exact behavior you were talking about. And they also do the thing where it's like, oh, you don't know, you can't even read Sanskrit, like all this stuff, blah, blah, blah. Like, hey, guys, when you have criticisms of the Quran and someone comes to you and says, you don't even know Arabic, so your opinion is irrelevant, blah, 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 you can pretty easily identify that as BS, right? So don't do that same behavior to others. It's like not that complicated. You could identify that behavior as total BS and nonsense when other people do it. So how about like let's not try to replicate that.
But also, we had streams about the Mahabharata. We mentioned like we have the Ramayana and the Mahabharata, and these are the main two Hindu epics, and then we had streams about that. We have charts about Hindu scriptures, and we have categorized them. We went from the Vedas to the Puranas, to Mahabharata, to the Ramayana. We have like if you go back to the streams that I showed you on the when I shared the page with you. Okay, so here, if you go here, you can see that we like in these shows we actually categorize different Hindu scriptures, and we actually teach people what each one of them is, and what the date that each one of them was made, and what the utility of them is. And we have old Hinduism and new Hinduism. The old Hinduism is more focused on the Vedas. The new Hinduism is more focused on the epics. That one of the one that you mentioned is one of the two epics, right? And we talk about which of the scriptures are the Hindu law books. So I mean, even if you come up with something that I didn't know, that wouldn't mean that we don't know what the Gita is teaching, because it's so obvious what the Gita is teaching. But you are so confident about things that we don't know, and you're full of crap, and you should be embarrassed. You should be embarrassed. You don't even know what we don't know. We do know. We have made entire shows about what you're talking about. So yeah, I hope you're embarrassed. Oh yeah, we need to
Gasian American gave us another super chat. Thank you, saying Justice Freklava. Not gonna lie, Gasian, I don't know what this was referring to. You know, super chats from Gasian American are sometimes like esoteric scripts. You know, like what is this esoteric knowledge? I'm not at this level where I understand.
Yeah. Oh, he also gave us another super chat as well.
No, I just said that.
Okay, sorry. I'm reading the live chat.
Oh, this one.
The three teachers. Yeah, this one. Yes. The three teachings were meant to balance each other out. Which one? I don't know what you're referring to. Okay, I don't know what you mean, but I appreciate the super chat. Okay.
Again,
usually
that's script.
Yes, usually that's my response to Gasian American. Thank you for the super chat. I don't know what you're saying, but thank you.
Yeah, exactly. D is saying Gasian comes with the riddles.
Yes. All right. So, can we clap for the next news? Oh wow!
I feel a little bit okay. No one died. It's not great, but yeah, let's clap.
Okay, no. If you feel uncomfortable, if it makes you uncomfortable to clap,
let's clap. There's a lot to unpack.
Okay. Next news.
Lesbian love jihad sparks mass protests in India. In a unique twist to the widely disputed love jihad conspiracy theory in India, a Muslim woman has been accused of the same after allegedly eloping with a Hindu girl. The missing duo, a 17-year-old student and her 20-year-old former teacher, have sparked mass protests and political backlash in the state of Rajasthan. The student's family accused the teacher's Muslim family of a plot to convert their daughter to Islam. However, in a video that surfaced later, the student claimed, quote, "We have left our homes by our own choice because we are both in love and want to stay together. We are lesbians, and hence we cannot marry another man as per our family's wishes." Despite this, the younger girl's family remains skeptical, accusing the older girl of brainwashing their daughter and urging for her immediate return. Both women have since been located by the police, and the former teacher has been arrested and been booked under sections of the Indian Protection for Children from Sexual Offenses Act. So let me give more background. So there is a girl from a high school. She comes from a Hindu family. And she, I guess, had a relationship with this 20-year-old girl who used to be her teacher at that school. And that teacher comes from a Muslim family. I have no idea if either of these women are still practicing, but it's not like that matters to Hindu anyways.
I think not. I would guess not if they're lesbians.
I mean, there's like LGBT Muslims, but anyways, so These two women reportedly fell in love and made the decision to run away together because the woman who's 20 years old and a former teacher is actually currently engaged to a man. So the older woman is engaged to a man. And there's this other 17-year-old student, and I guess they had some form of relationship, and they made the decision to run away together because they didn't want to be forced into a marriage. And so, they ran away. Then all of a sudden there were accusations that this is love jihad, that the older woman has brainwashed their daughter and brainwashed her into converting to Islam. And then so the Hindu girl's family started filing police reports against the Muslim girl's family. I don't think the families had any knowledge of involvement or this, especially considering that the Muslim girl was engaged to a man. And they tried to run away, and they, made a video reportedly explaining that this was consensual, that this is of our own free will. This is because they're gay and don't want to be with a man and they have no other option. But they, were located by the police. I don't remember if they got out of the state or not, and brought back home. And the older woman has been booked with charges of kidnapping and charges of sexual offenses and all this stuff. You have a reaction?
Kidnapping?
Yeah.
Do you think this would happen if they were both Hindu?
Yes. I think that's very, very possible, because this actually happens a lot to gay couples, particularly gay female couples. Is they run away from home because they don't want to be forced into a marriage. And this actually has happened a lot before, where then the family, even if they are adults, and I'm talking like in their mid to late 20s, and they decide to run away from home so that they don't have to be married off. The police often side with families. They forcibly, yes.
Adult women that want to leave home, the police goes and brings them back. And they say that is kidnapping, but the police is kidnapping them.
Yes. So actually, to the point that there was one state in India, I can't remember exactly where, it might have been in the South, where they put forward a bunch of LGBT protections into the law recently. And they actually included that within the LGBT protection law. They included sections in their updated progressive code to make it so that the police could not be weaponized against gay couples, because that's how frequent this is. I mean, people in India, can yourselves explain this in the live chat, but I have so many friends in India who tell me about how this is a common thing that happens. Now, however, this is a little bit, different, because one of these women is a legal minor. One of these women is technically not a woman. She's a girl. She's a child, legally.
How old is she?
17. And the former teacher
is
20.
Okay, so 3 years difference. That should be allowed. 3 years difference.
Yeah, but she's still technically a minor. She is still technically a minor.
I know,
if this was in the United States, this could also be considered. If in the United States, under certain circumstances, this would also be considered kidnapping.
I don't think that's fair. 3 years because of 3 years difference. 17 and 20, I think that's close enough.
Okay, here's the thing. Personally, I do think that 17 and 20 is a reasonable age difference. I mean, when I was in high school and I was still 18, I was dating someone that was like 3 years younger than me, and that's like normal, right? But and then if I had continued to date that person, then eventually we would have that age difference. But I mean, anyways. But here's the one part that makes me a little bit uncomfortable. My thing is not actually the age difference. My thing is actually the fact that one of them was a teacher and one of them was a student.
Okay, yeah, that's the power dynamics
that makes me a little cautious about.
Yes.
That is more of a power dynamic potential, more potential for grooming, like that kind of situation. I don't know if that is the case, but that did raise some red flags for me, just being honest.
Yeah,
Um,
you're right.
but yeah,
Okay.
those are my
So,
concerns. But now
but
it's
other
turned
than
into a lesbian love jihad conspiracy.
okay, so again, whatever. So yeah, I don't think I think the age difference is small enough for this to not be an issue over there. I do think the main issue is the power dynamics with being a student and a teacher. That's what makes this problematic. However, who's calling it a lesbian love jihad?
Oh my God. Well, if you scroll down, Armin, we can see videos of the protests that were happening in their city.
Okay, but these people are morons. Like, no, seriously. I mean, by these people, I'm not talking about Hindus. I'm talking about the specific people. Again, when I say these people, I have to be careful about how I phrase it so
Yeah.
that people don't think I'm being bigoted. When I say these people, I'm talking specifically about the ones who are calling this a lesbian love jihad. Okay, they being gay for Islam. That's what they're saying. They're accusing like you're being gay for the sake of Islam. You're gaying it out for Islam.
Wait, can we make that a thing?
Gay for Islam. Okay. Like I advocating for Islam via scissoring or whatever. Like,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
don't
yeah,
know.
yeah, 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 yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I'm imagining so many dirty things and like I don't know. In my head, like I can't even I want to describe to you what I'm imagining in my head. I don't know right now.
We have to keep
Maybe
it
like
family friendly, Armin. This is a family friendly program.
I'm imagining them like the Muslim one edging the Hindu one and saying like I'm not gonna let you until you say Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar if you want the release. Allahu Akbar
If
if you
you want
want
to
it.
come, you have to take the shahada.
Shahadat or else you're gonna be suffering. I'm not- Oh my god.
Oh my
Oh my
god.
god. Imagine the orgasmic way she would say the shahadat, like and like she like having an orgasm while that would be the most orgasmic shahadat ever. Oh my, this should be a movie.
I'm
This is
dying.
but this is what these people are imagining. These are like they when they say this is lesbian love jihad, they're imagining somebody just lesing it up for the sake of spreading Islam.
For the sake
Like
of an
seducing.
Islamic takeover of India. It's better than just Islam.
Exactly. No,
It's
you're
for
right.
demographic
It's worse.
engineering.
Yes, it's like you're basically, guys, this is the levels of insanity that we're dealing here. So the accusation of this being a lesbian love jihad specifically translates to this: there is a Muslim woman who's seducing Hindu women and making them fall in love with her, lesing it up for the sake of spreading Islam to the point where you could make India a Muslim country. So seducing a girl to change the demographics of India. That is what the accusation of lesbian love jihad means. That's what that's the conspiracy that these people actually believe in. What is this?
Oh my god. So there's a Mustafa gave us a super chat. Thank you, Mustafa, saying Muslim pickup line, "Hey girl, I wish I was your prayer rug."
That's a good one. That's fantastic. Thank you, Mustafa, for the super chat. All right, we should move
And
on. But we have
someone brought up a really good point, and yeah, Shakespeare is saying, not to mention the older woman will also be tortured by Muslims for being a lesbian. I don't know if she'll be tortured, okay, but I actually do have like genuine concerns for like the safety and well-being of this older person, of the older woman, like because when you're arrested and she had to be in judicial custody for like 15 days, and then presumably she's going to go back home to her family, and I'm like so worried about what this woman might face because she publicly tried to escape an engagement. Like that has major
Right.
consequences to women.
So
And yeah,
again, that's why what I think she means by torture like doesn't necessarily mean like physical torture, like mental torture as well. Also, we forgot to check the comments here. Let me see if there are any comments here. What do you want to read this one?
well, this is just a video of a journalist
Oh,
like
here.
explaining the mob and the protests and stuff. And someone responded saying useless Fs don't protest about rising prices, scams, Dalit abuses in Rajasthan, broken infrastructures, but we'll have a breakdown over consensual relationships. Bunch of idiots.
Good comment. Good comment.
I do have some
And
questions about the consensualness given that it was a teacher and blah blah blah.
yes, you're right. Thank you
But
for keep reminding me about that. Yes.
yeah. And this is a LGBT activist in India, I believe. And he said, my heart goes out to the 20-year-old teacher forcibly engaged to get married to a man by her parents who is now facing accusations of love jihad. Have we lost any semblance of basic humanity? Have we no shame?
Right.
At the same time, if I had a 17-year-old daughter like run away from home to be with a former teacher and I was a parent, I would be losing my mind.
Yes, that's fair. Okay. Yeah, again, because the details are not known to us, the part that we are safe in condemning is the label lesbian love jihad. I'm not going to necessarily know exactly what happened here, so I'm not going to make excuses for that. This could have been something that is bad to do. Like it could have been again, I don't know the details, right? But I'm only making passing judgment on the specific label of lesbian love jihad. That's the only part. All right, so so we'll read that one. And also this is a good comment. Oh, you removed that. Never mind. So I'll just do the super chat. I'm happy with the super chat. Okay, so this is funny. Oxymoron is saying, thank you so much for Oxymoron for the super chat. Is saying, I love you guys, but your takes on the Gita are embarrassingly ignorant. They do not match up with traditional commentaries. I hope you find appropriate mechanism put to check on your ignorance. It's funny because I actually reviewed the traditional commentaries and they agreed with my point of view. The traditional commentaries exactly matched with my point of view. And we had Oxymoron up and he was trying to make excuses for Krishna and they were embarrassing. And actually Oxymoron's opinion on the Gita didn't match with the traditional commentaries. I actually went and spent time comparing my interpretation of the Gita with the traditional commentaries. And the way the gymnastics, the excuses Oxymoron was playing to make Krishna look good, even though he was being a misogynist, it was unbelievable. Even Hindus in the live chat were calling him out. Like that makes no sense. It was exactly like when Muslims trying to make excuses for the verses of Quran. Oxymoron was like that. Like, do you have verses in the Quran that specifically tells you to beat women? And then Muslims come and tell you to try the exact verses that is right in front of you, that is so clearly telling you to beat your wife. The excuses that they make for that to mean something else is embarrassingly stupid. And then when you go actually read the traditional commentaries, you're like, yeah, the text actually means what it says it means based on the traditional commentaries. Actually, thank you, Oxymoron, for bringing this up, because again, I'm going to use this as a advertising again for this playlist. Again, let me put the playlist, put the link to this playlist again in the live chat. Oxymoron actually comes and tries to make excuses for Krishna in one of these videos, and you could go watch it. It is embarrassingly stupid, and it was quite clear that he didn't understand what he was talking about. Again, guys, a lot of
if we want to
Hindus
talk about personal interpretation, Oxymoron, your personal interpretation of the actions of Lord Rama in relation to his marriage to Sita and burning her and all that stuff made him look like the weakest, most cucked out guy I've ever seen in my life. I'm like, and this is supposed to be the hyper masculine, like, hero of the Hindutva fascist movement, but you make him seem like the weakest cuck in the world. It was crazy.
Yeah, so if you go watch that, yeah, exactly. It was Lord Rama misogynist. So you could see that the way he was trying to explain all of that, and it made absolutely no sense. But again, guys, the don't let people make you think like just because they happen to be Hindu or they happen to be Indian that they know about the scripture more than you do. With a little bit of research, you could tell that they're full of crap. Just like when many Muslims try to come out, act like you need a doctorate to understand that Islam is ridiculous. You don't. It's very obvious that these are really horrible teachings if you study them honestly. And the problem is that the people who are Hindu, they have a bias in favor of their religion. So actually, they are the ones who can't be trusted when it comes to when it comes to them interpreting the scripture. It's very clear that this is a very disgusting religion. And again, go check out this entire playlist. You could find the playlist on the homepage of our YouTube channel. So go check it out. I think it's very useful for people who want to understand Hinduism a little bit better. Anyways, thank you so much for giving me another excuse to promote that live stream, to that playlist. And thank you again for the super chat as well. Okay, so can we clap for the next news?
No, this is like genuinely bad. This is probably our worst news this week.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that. I'm gonna go put myself down again. I'll be right back. Okay. So, okay. Next news.
Next news: Christian teenager in Pakistan gets death sentence for blasphemy. In Pakistan, Numan Masih, a 19-year-old Christian resident of Ismaili colony of Bahawalpur, has been sentenced to death and fined 20,000 Pakistani rupees, equivalent to approximately $72 USD, for blasphemy, marking another controversial ruling in a country where such charges can incite significant violence. Arrested 4 years prior when he was still a minor, Masih's conviction hinged on the forensic record of his cell phone, which, as the court explained, quote, proved that he had shared the blasphemous content through WhatsApp. This case, tried under the country's anti-terrorism and anti-blasphemy laws, underscores the escalating tensions and harsh penalties related to accusations of blasphemy in Pakistan. The charges can be exploited to settle personal scores or marginalize religious communities and minorities, creating an environment rife with hostility and fear. So, yeah, this is just a really sad situation. I haven't been able to locate any information about what specifically his supposed blasphemy was, but this is a young man who has been sentenced to death for something that he allegedly did at the age of 15. This is a quote-unquote crime, a supposed crime he committed when he was 15. Think about all the dumb... Okay, let's say maybe he did do something blasphemous. We have no idea. And also, we know that the standards for what is considered blasphemous are very, very skewed, right? And very vague, right? Very vague standards. And yeah, let's for the sake of argument, let's say that he did actually do something quote unquote blasphemous. He was 15 years old. I'm not positive, but I'm pretty sure that, because I know Saudi Arabia gets in trouble for this all the time. Saudi Arabia gets in trouble for when they execute people for crimes that were committed as a minor. Saudi Arabia does that very frequently, and there's always like outcry about it. I think there are international statutes against such a thing. Think about like all the dumb stuff you say when you're 15. Like how you don't understand the world, or you think you know stuff about the world, but really you don't, or you're learning. And also things you might say because you're irritable because puberty sucks. Things you might say in anger because you're having a fit because school is stressful or things aren't going well and your hormones are crazy and you can't regulate your emotions. Like teenagers are teenagers. They're adolescents for a reason. We all know how adolescents act, right? And think about, you said something allegedly, and now they want to put you to death for it. You're only 19 years old. You spent 4 years of your life already in prison. in a Pakistani prison, and now you're sentenced to death, and now you have to go sit on Pakistani death row, probably for the rest of your life. Or maybe sometimes these sentences get annulled, but even if that happens, you have to flee the country because other people will try to kill you in the street.
Half a second, change your entire life ruined for half a second for just a message.
Sometimes it's not even a message that they themselves wrote. Sometimes they merely shared the message, and it's like death. It's horrible.
Unbelievable.
Sorry.
Yeah.
This comment you just highlighted.
No, this one, yeah. This actually proves that when you're 15, you're not that smart. Shikha is saying, when I was 15, I considered Armin and Susanna as xenophobic bigots. I mean, not that. So this, we should use this as evidence A that they shouldn't hold anything that this kid said at 15 against them.
Mm-hmm.
But not that whatever he said was wrong, but it's just like so. By the way, guys, just to be clear, Pakistan doesn't usually carry out the death sentences, right? I mean, not usually. They never carry out the death sentences. But that has made it so that so many radical Muslims in Pakistan be angry about this. So if you are ever freed, then they will come after you. That's why many people would rather just stay in jail than be freed after they get a death sentence for blasphemy. So this kid's
sometimes the
forever.
Jail isn't even enough to keep them safe, because there was a situation in Pakistan where there was a mentally disabled man, and they stormed the entire police station, and the police had to evacuate with the mentally disabled man accused of blasphemy because they were going to kill him in the street. So even the police aren't safe.
Yes, exactly. So, and many times, just to make sure that nobody kills the person or not to cause like a lot of chaos, they just hold these people forever. Like they don't execute them, but they just sit there wasting their entire life in prison on death row.
Yeah, getting exposed to horrific custodial abuse. You just have to read Asia Bibi's book. The shit that she went through on Pakistani death row is so bad, especially because she was also a Christian.
Yeah.
Terrific.
And and this is the country, by the way, that does these things to Muslims. I'm assuming this kid is a Muslim, right?
No, he's a Christian.
Oh no, sorry, to Christian, to religious people. Sorry, I mean to believers, right? To people who have a religion and then accuse other people of hurting sentiments of people with religious belief. And they ruined their lives. They ruined the lives of Christians in Pakistan, mostly Christians, Shias, Ahmadis, and even Sunnis who happen to just done like by mistake or by accident said something, or somebody just accused them of saying something. Right?
The last person that was publicly lynched, remember this, Armin? It was at a political rally. He was a cleric.
Yeah.
A religious leader was lynched.
And that person from Bangladesh who just was cleaning the wall and just happened to be a Muhammad's name on the wall, and he was lynched in public.
From Sri Lanka, but he was working in Pakistan.
Sorry. Sri Lanka was working in Pakistan. Good, you remember these things better. Yeah. But he was like killed in a mob just because somebody said that when he was cleaning, like in a school, when I don't know, was it a school? When he was
he was a factory manager, and there was an inspection that was happening at the factory. He was cleaning up things that were dirty, and it was maybe just a poster for a political party that had the name of Muhammad on it, and he took it down, and they lynched Priyantha Kumar in the street.
Yeah. And this country is going at and making it the priority to make to the Council of to the United Nations Council of Human Rights to stop people from burning the Quran.
Yeah, they want to lecture the world. They want to lecture the world about religious hatred. They want to tell people about religious insult and religious hatred.
Yeah. Wait, there was some good comments here.
Say that the U.S. is paying lip service to how much they really want to fight religious hatred. Disgusting.
Oh, also here's another thing I wanted to highlight this. Okay, so sometimes I feel like it's good that he was Christian, because atheists get such lack of international support. Like, at least now he has a lot of Christians who are trying to help him, right? Like, atheists don't get this international support. If an atheist was in Pakistan gets arrested for blasphemy, you're not going to get you're not going to see as much of a global movement trying to get the person out as a Christian, because Christians, often there will be a lot of Christians that will try to help you. Okay,
There's a lot of Christian legal defense funds in Pakistan.
Yeah, but these are not a good example, because these people are just praying. But there are Christian legal defense funds and stuff. We don't have that. We don't have an atheist defense fund. Okay, we want to get there one day. We want Atheist Republic to one day be there, but we're not. It doesn't seem like we will be able to. But we hope that one day we could grow enough to at least start making something like that, like an global atheist defense fund. Wouldn't that be amazing, Susie, if we had a legal defense fund that we could go and help atheists worldwide that needed such support? Like a Christian.
I mean, there are a few organizations that can do some work, but our resources are incredibly limited in comparison to any other belief-based group.
Yeah. So this person is saying, Father, we ask for a supernatural release in Jesus' name. Send an angel like you did for Paul and Silas and Peter, in Jesus' name, amen. So this person, I think he feels satisfied that he did what he needed to do, and he's like, this is such a waste of activism. God damn it. Okay, so here's another comment about this. And that is why they are better in happiness index than India. What does this mean? Is this a joke? Is this like
I think that person is like in support of that action, which doesn't make any sense. Also, I don't know if that's true.
I think he's making fun of Pakistan, because I think I don't know. I don't understand this comment, but okay. Anyways, anything we want to highlight in the live chat?
No.
Okay. No, Mustafa. No. Not that. We're not going to do that. Stop it, Mustafa. That, I know you're trying to make that happen, but it's not going to happen. We're not going to do that. Okay. Okay. Can we clap for the next news?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, I'm excited now. Next news.
Why Indian ex-Muslims formed a movement defending secularism. In the southern state of Kerala, India, the ex-Muslims of Kerala, or EMU for short, a group formed by individuals who have left Islam, is defending secularism and supporting those facing serious social repercussions associated with abandoning the religion. Founded in 2019, the organization's members hail from diverse backgrounds, each with unique reasons for leaving Islam, ranging from stifled curiosity and issues of gender inequality to the tension between faith and scientific understanding. EMU president, big apologies for butchering this name, Liak Kathali, CM recounts his own experiences, saying, quote, "They tell us such questions about God are planted by the devil. I was once beaten for a genuine doubt. This is when I began to study my religion on my own." Yet, with the rise of far-right Hindu nationalism, the group finds itself navigating the delicate issue of Islamophobia. Amid rising anti-Muslim sentiment, they strive to differentiate between the criticism of Islam and hatred towards Muslims. As Lilac declared, you cannot violate basic human rights simply because you are an ex-Muslim. Groups such as ours are formed not to destroy Islam, but to fight for the right to life that ex-Muslims have as much as any other. So, I wanted to cover this because I keep up with a couple different Indian news organizations, and one of them that I follow is called the News Minute. And the News Minute did a giant written story that's part of a series documenting the rise of atheism and rationalism in South India. And they had a huge write-up, very lengthy, about Indian ex-Muslims, specifically in Kerala. It was so interesting. One of the people that was profiled in the article was Arif Hussein, who actually interviewed me on his channel. So, guys, you can go see my interview with Arif Hussein. I think his last name is Therafur? Theraf? I'm sorry if I got it wrong. And yeah, I just love to see the ex-Muslim movement in India being highlighted more and being more light being shown on it. And the South India is really leading the way when it comes to the Indian ex-Muslim movement. So I love to see that celebrated. And it was really interesting to learn about the backgrounds of some of the people behind this organization and the specific issues that they faced. For example, they talk about like all the social costs that come with being ex-Muslim. And it was a good reminder to me how in different countries and communities, the social cost can be so much higher than what some of my friends in my personal life face. Because like even for example, like a lot of my Iranian friends, like they're non-religious, but like actually it's really cool to be an atheist. It's really cool. It's considered like cool to be an ex-Muslim. So there aren't really social costs that come with it. Of course, you have to be, if you're living in Iran, there's costs from the government, right? That's one thing. But like among your friends, among your family, it might not be that big of a deal for some people. But here they were talking about how it can cost you your relationship with your family. One woman, their whole family got together behind her back to tell even her grandma to not invite her into her house. So when she went to go visit her grandma was like, yeah, I can come see you, but you can't come inside. Like I'll come outside my house to talk to you. I won't even invite you in. Stuff like that.
Wow. Wow. Disgusting. Disgusting. Yeah. Islam, religion taking tearing families apart like it does usually.
And there's a huge cost to it because of Muslim personal law in India, at least the way that they were explaining it, is that if you decide to leave Islam, then like you lose like all your inheritance rights. You lose a lot of property rights, like all this stuff. So a lot of people are actively disincentivized from being public about how they feel from a legal angle as well. People lose their families, their wives, their kids. And also because Islamically, if one of your partners becomes a kafir, that marriage is instantly considered null. So,
right. So,
yeah.
I really love the attitude they have because there are some ex-Muslims, because India is such a hotbed for anti-Muslim bigotry. I am very proud of the ex-Muslim community that especially a lot of them who have such a bad experience with Islam. I mean, they have all the things that could make somebody into an anti-Muslim bigot, and they end up not being anti-Muslim bigots. So I'm like really proud of this, ex-Muslims in India, because I've seen some ex-Muslims from India who because there's such a thirsty audience for anti-Muslim bigotry. So I've seen some ex-Muslims in India who try to take advantage of that, but most ex-Muslims that I've seen from India, they're not like that. So look at all the factors. They are in India. They have had such a bad experience with Islam. A lot of them, they are discriminated against because of Islam, and they also have a very bigoted Hindutva community there that is just ready to use them as an excuse to be promoting hatred towards Muslims. So that combination together, you would think like, okay, there will be a lot of ex-Muslims there that would just fall for that and just go with it, right? Especially how big of an audience they could just develop so fast. But then they come out and they are, they're not Muslims anymore. They left Islam, but they also want to make sure that they are telling everybody that this is not an excuse to demonize Muslims. So I don't know, very proud of them. It's very amazing that they're doing what we do on the front lines on places where it's more dangerous to do such things, and they take such balanced view and are very careful not to also spread hatred. So it's, I don't know, I'm just so happy to see this. I'm so very proud, and I'm also happy that you see these things, Susanna, to come and bring it to us and highlight it here. Like, I'm really
Yes, I
grateful that we have
love highlighting stuff like this. I'm like, it makes me so excited to see them raising their profile, right, and being so public, because that also helps grow the movement, right? There's probably like other
Right.
ex-Muslims in India who see this and like really admire what they're doing, even if they're not in the South and can't join or whatever. They
Right.
also have another group called the Non-Religious Citizens, called NRC for short. And the NRC is actually adopting like legal measures to try to combat male circumcision, like legally within their area, which is awesome, because they're like, we don't see this as a religious issue. We see this as a human rights violation. And so we want to combat male circumcision. I'm like, this is what I'm talking about right here. So
Right.
shouts out.
Also another, this news is also a reminder to people who think that because we point out some problems with India, we hate India. Okay, we don't hate India. Okay, we love India. That's why we love every country. That's why we point their problems of that country. You cannot love a country without being concerned about the problems that that country is having. But see, when good news happen in India, there are many things India, because we're talking about religion, unfortunately, we have to highlight things that usually are a problem, because this is an atheist perspective, and usually religion brings problems. But Susanna is careful enough to, whenever she finds a story that we could highlight, that it's a good story, that we could highlight something good is happening in a country, she jumps on it, because we want to try to bring you news that is good as well, not just news that is bad. And this is a good news out of India. This is a heartwarming news out of India. So thank you, Susie, for bringing us such news from India as well. Yeah, something, a silver lining. Anyways, we did get it. Oh wait, were there comments that we need to highlight there?
There was a super chat.
No. Yes, we got a super chat.
We got a super chat. Thank you for the $10 super chat, Bud, saying, hi, Armin. Hi, Susanna. Which Islamic or Muslim majority country would you feel the most comfortable in if you had to spend a week over there for the holidays or on holiday? What about Malaysia, the UAE, Qatar, or Kuwait? I would only
Tunisia.
Feel relatively comfortable in a country where I had some very, very good friends. And I'm not going to say what countries those are, because one, they're my friends. I want to protect them. And two, I would love to visit them one day, and I don't want this on the radar. So
no. Okay. So, but what if you had no friends in any of these countries? Then which one would you choose? I think
probably Tunisia or Lebanon.
Not Lebanon, Tunisia. Yeah. Again, we're only talking about safety for people who have been outspoken against Islam among Muslim countries. That is what we're trying to. I think that is what Bud is asking us to evaluate. Yeah. I think that's what Bud is asking. I think Bud is not asking about which one we have more friends in, or which one. Like, if it wasn't about safety, obviously the most I would be comfortable in would be Iran, right? Right. But we're talking about personal safety for people who have been very outspoken against Islam. I think the most comfortable one would be Tunisia. Again, I'm not suggesting people go there. If you're an ex-Muslim who has been outspoken against Islam and go to Tunisia and something happens to you, I haven't been recommending that. I'm just talking about a list of countries. Which one would be the least problematic? I think it would be Tunisia, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, in Lebanon, they have open free thought atheist organizations. We have Lebanese atheist activists in Lebanon.
Well, they don't call themselves atheist groups. They call free thought. They call themselves free thought.
Yeah, but we all know it's the same thing.
I know, but they haven't burned the Quran. I burned the Quran.
Yeah.
They haven't burned the Quran.
Fair enough.
If I go to Lebanon, Hezbollah will probably kidnap me. Okay? There's a difference between having a group called free thought, group, and being somebody that openly has blasphemed against the Quran. So I would not be comfortable in Lebanon. Yeah. So guys, so when we evaluate this, we're not like, when we're saying somewhere is not safe, it might be safe for an average atheist, okay, or an atheist that hasn't gone as done the things that we have, or said the things that we have. So when we are evaluating what is safe for us, that calculation might not apply for a different atheist. So you have to take that into account as well.
Yeah. Oxymoron just gave us a super chat saying, can you call out what secular people are doing in Bengal? That would be good criticism of your tribe that you identify with. If you provide information about this in the AR Discord news channel, and I can look into it, maybe I would think it's interesting enough for us to cover. But I don't know about this. So
Yeah.
you know where to recommend stuff.
We have no
I'll take a look.
We have no problem calling out secular people. It's the people that would think that we have a problem calling out atheists or secularists or anybody else that you think it's in our tribe. You have to have a very collective mindset or a tribal mindset to think that we're proud of actually going after our own, because that's how we get to brag about how non-tribal we are. So if we ever get an excuse to call out somebody that is on our side, we will take advantage of that, because we use it as a bragging right to show how self-critical we are about our movement. Yeah. So yeah, give us excuse.
We got another super chat from Asian American with references from the Mahabharata. I can never say it right. Mahabharata. There we go. Saying justice for Ekalava, down with Drona Charva.
Okay.
Oxymoron, yes, you are on Discord. What are you talking about? Anyways.
Justice for... Wait, I don't understand what... Again, as always, I don't understand. You understood what Gaijin is saying? Because as long as one of us understands, that's good.
Yeah.
You do? Okay, good. Okay. All right, good. Let me go to... Can we clap for the next news?
Sure.
Okay. Next news,
the hijab ban that's shaking French soccer. In a controversial ruling that has reignited the debate on the principle of laïcité, France's highest administrative court, the Council of State, has declared that the country's soccer federation, the French Football Federation, or FFF for short, can prohibit players from wearing headscarves during matches. The decision was made after a group of soccer players known as, I can't pronounce anything in French, les hijabes, I'm assuming, who wear religious headscarves, took legal actions against FFF's ban. The court stated that sports federations in France, quote, may impose on their players an obligation to wear neutral clothing during sporting competitions and events in order to guarantee the smooth running of matches and prevent clashes or confrontation. It considers the ban imposed by the FFF as appropriate and proportionate. This ruling deviates from global soccer governing bodies FIFA's recommendations, which permits players to wear headscarves during international matches. In response, the FFF reaffirmed, quote, its Republican and civic values that underpin soccer and its total commitment to combating all forms of discrimination and promoting gender equality. However, this move has provoked concerns about the impact on the upcoming 2024 Paris Olympics and individual players' rights to express their religious beliefs. As French Interior Minister Gérald Darmanin stated, you don't wear religious clothes when you play sports. When you play soccer, you don't need to know the religion of the person in front of you. Armin, what do you think about banning the hijab in soccer?
I don't understand the argument. Why would you ban this?
So basically, this has to do with France's interpretation of secularism and laïcité, meaning that when you are representing the government, you should be neutral of all religious symbols, right? And so in certain contexts, when you're playing football, you are representing France as a government, right? And then so they're saying, okay, you're not allowed to wear the hijab. During some previous legislation that failed to pass, they tried to say that wearing a hijab was actually a safety concern. Which is a little bit funny to me because I'm like imagining some cartoonish instance where like you fall and then you get like caught on a shoe and then you're choked by your hijab. Like, if we're being realistic, the safety concerns about hijab are like really overblown, right? In this context, in my personal opinion. So it has more to do with, and from their perspective, maintaining neutrality. But other people have come forward and said, okay, but soccer players, when they're walking on the pitch all the time, they'll like do the sign of the cross before they do a match. Like, what about that? What about those instances? But they're saying that this is a move to remain neutral, that you don't need to know the religion of the person in front of you. And also, it's towards combating forms of discrimination and promoting gender equality.
I think, okay, I think France this is being selected. Maybe I'm wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong. Okay, so when it comes to safety concern, I think that's bullcrap. I think that's bullcrap. Like, let's look at this. Like, how could this be a safety issue?
Yeah,
what
safety
could this
concerns
do to
is
you?
Complete nonsense.
Yeah, I think, and because there's raising safety issues with this, like, I don't know, maybe this is a safety issue because this seems, no, that's not. This is not even a safety issue. This cannot be a safety issue. So because they're saying it's a safety issue and it's not a safety issue, I think they are being selective against Islam.
Well, I should be clear.
But they're making stuff up.
The safety issue thing was used in towards a ban that actually failed to pass. So that was a separate issue. For this specific new issue, they are not using safety as the reasoning. Let me be clear.
I know, but the fact that they tried, I understand that. Hear me out. The fact that they tried to use safety issue for something that has no safety issue, to me seems like they're just, what is it called? Just like using any excuse that they could find because they want to just be anti-hijab. And again, I could buy the other argument that, okay, this is the team of a country and it's taxpayer money and you're not supposed, and we're a secular country and laicity and stuff, so you are representing the country, so you can't have a religious brand. That might make more sense until you think about it, that they had no issues ever. This was never a problem when soccer players were like, whenever they scored something, they would like thank God or thank Jesus right on the field. Nobody came and said like, okay, stop it, cut it out, guys. This is Christianity and this is represents a country and France doesn't. Did people, I mean, were they ever, did they raise it ever over there? I don't think they did, right?
I mean, to my knowledge, I could be wrong. I've never heard of any issue being raised about that.
Okay, so seems selective to me. Again, I'm against Islam, I'm against hijab, I'm against modesty culture, but I'm also against lying and pretending that you're doing something when you're doing something else. I'm against inconsistency. So even though I'm against the hijab and I'm against Islam, I think that they are applying these rules selectively and they are lying about their intentions.
So what do you think, taking those factors out of it, what do you think about this idea about keeping things neutral in general? Like, if that was their model and if they were consistent, what would you think about a policy like this? Because I think we talked about this kind of legislation before, and you actually supported it.
Yeah, I would be supportive of it if you are honest about that being what it is and if you're consistent. Okay? If I figure out that you are just you're trying to make life difficult for Muslims and you're using the neutrality argument as an excuse, then I would be against it. But if I somehow find that no, it is actually because of neutrality, if I could find out somehow that no, this is genuinely about trying to keep it neutral, then I would be for it. Sometimes I suspect that they are saying this is about neutrality, but they are sometimes maybe this is wrong, but sometimes when I see what's happening, sometimes I think like, no, you're just being anti-Muslim. Again, I don't know. I am skeptical about the intentions here. But yeah, I would be for it if they were being consistent across all religions. They were as aggressive against any form signs of Christianity or Hinduism or Sikhism if they're consistent. And if I somehow figure out that the genuine intention is neutrality, then I would support it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay. But yeah, somehow I think like, and given that their record shows that they were like using like safety concerns to begin with, to me, I think it's makes sense to for you to be skeptical about what they're trying to do here. Let me see what other people thinking. Sport is sport, not propaganda. Okay, so this person is talking about neutrality of it. France adopts freedom from religion ideology, which I support. Yeah, again, freedom from religion, I hope, not from Islam. I hope it's consistent. If that's the case, I would support it. Funny how USCIRF will never call out European countries, or State Department will ever list a European country as one of concerned. What is this English with
So
regards to religious freedoms? What are they trying to say here?
they're referring to the United States Commission on International Religious Freedom that puts out annual religious freedom reports, and actually they do call out European countries. So because I read those reports.
Okay.
Because I'm a nerd.
Saying no, that's somebody saying no, that's France's dress code. Just like people can't wear bikini in Muslim countries, hijab is not allowed in France. Hijab is allowed in France. Hijab. What are these people talking about? Hijab is allowed in France. What's not allowed in France is for you to wear the hijab when you're representing the entirety of the country. That's what's not allowed. Some people think hijab is illegal in France. I've been to France. I've been to Paris. There's entire neighborhoods of people that are wearing the hijab. Yeah. So, anything you want to highlight in the live chat?
No.
Okay. Well, okay, let me just highlight Kenny's comment. Kenny's saying, yes, if you are publicly representing a state, it should be neutral. I don't think they should be doing Christian stuff either. Yes, but Kenny, would you agree that if you realize that this neutrality is an excuse for something else, would you have a concern with it? I agree. If the actual intention is neutrality and they are consistent, then I would support it. But if you find out that they have there's a different motivation behind this, then wouldn't you be concerned about this policy? Also, may I not humbly at all, brag about the fact that we are critical of France, which we support, right? Because Oxymoron was in the live chat consisting that we are tribal and that we are not selective against religious communities and not self-critical against secular ones. However, we have been very trying, because it is so easy for us, because we are against Islam, we're against hijab, we're against modesty culture, we are for laicite, we're for secularism. So it's the easier position for us is, and France is a role model. Like France is the number one country that does secularism right. Most places. So it would be just easier for us every time France is mentioned to be like, yes, hail France, long live France, and just be like, yes, daddy France doing, showing Islam, taking a strong position against Islam again, and just be like, thank you, France. That would be the easier position for us to take all the time, right? Because we are, if we were tribal, if we were collective, but I tried to be more skeptical about France because it's within our tribe, because they are the mother of liberal values, of enlightenment values. So because we might, if I defend everything France does, it might be dogmatic, because it's easier to defend the people that are on your side. You see how every time France is mentioned, we are trying to be extra skeptical, just to be careful that we're not following that tribal mindset. So be like, okay, they shut down, like, remember, Susie, like they shut down some mosques. Like, okay, we're against the teachings of mosques, but let's see, our freedoms of speech being violated here. Like, we become extra skeptical when people are doing things that we're supposed to be liking. So they're wrong. Oxymoron, you're wrong. When you are saying, like, we are doing this right, we are applying neutrality and skepticism and fairness. I think we're doing a very good job at this channel to try to be careful with all of that, right? Yes. Can we clap for the next news? No.
Yes.
Okay. Next news.
Next news, drag queen rocks religion. Provocative performance shocks the Philippines. A provocative performance by a Filipina drag queen known as Pura Luca Vega, in which she dressed as Jesus Christ and danced to a remixed version of the Filipino Catholic song Ama Namin, meaning Our Father, has ignited a firestorm of a debate in the predominantly Catholic Philippines. Vegas's act, which went viral on social media, has been denounced by many religious Filipinos, lawmakers, and even members of the LGBT community as blasphemous and disrespectful to the Catholic Church. Senate President Juan Miguel Zubiri suggested Vegas's performance might violate Article 201 of the revised Penal Code, which prohibits, quote, offending races or religion in the performance of obscene or indecent plays, scenes, acts, or shows. However, Vega defended her performance, stating, I understand that people call my performance blasphemous, offensive, or regrettable. However, they shouldn't tell me how I practice my faith or how I do my drag. That performance was not for you to begin with. It is my experience and my expression of having been denied my rights. So we can watch a little bit of this performance. I think there's a video of it in the yeah, here we go. But don't play the audio because the audio does have music.
Okay, hold on. Hold on. Let me mute this. Okay, so I didn't mute it. Okay. Wait. Share this tab instead. Okay. So we're playing it without audio, guys. There's music here, but we're not going to play the music because it has copyright. So
if you
explain what we're watching.
Okay. Shortly, you will see a drag Jesus. Wait, there we go. There's the drag Jesus. There she is in all her bearded glory. She kind of has like this like halo kind of around her. She has a crown of thorns. They're all singing together. Everyone's like dancing and stuff. And it's to a actual religious worship song. So they're singing and dancing to a religious worship song. And what was so interesting was there was a lot of backlash in the Philippines, including from the first elected transgender lawmaker in the Philippines had backlash against this and stated about like how this was so inappropriate. And it was really interesting to me because a lot of the rhetoric that I was reading was basically saying that LGBT people shouldn't do this because it'll give people the wrong impression of the LGBT community and make people dislike the LGBT community. What do you think of that reasoning?
The reasoning is that this will make people dislike the LGBT community. Is that what you said? That's the reasoning?
Yeah. Because
that's like, not going to happen in Philippines.
You don't like it when people insult LGBT, but here you are insulting other people's stuff that they think is important. Like that was kind of the reasoning that I was reading.
But how is that insulting unless you're being drag is insulting?
Maybe, I mean, a lot of people think that like representations of Jesus in like a party or dance setting is just wholly inappropriate no matter what.
No, well, that's not the case because she was dragged. That's why they have a problem. If this was people, they have celebratory events where people are wearing Jesus costumes in Philippines, and people don't get offended about that. And also, it's not about her her outfit is less revealing than what Jesus was wearing on the cross, so it can't be that. Jesus is more nude on the cross than she was, so it's just about being anti-drag. You have to be anti-drag, and you don't get to be anti-drag in Philippines. May I tell you that? Okay, this is an important culture of the Philippines. Drag is such an important part of the Filipino way of life that if it's the Catholic religion against drag culture, I'm sorry people, I'm sorry Christians. Like, I think you're gonna lose. I think the Catholic I know Philippines is one of the most Catholic countries in the world.
The most
but
Catholic country in the world.
Yes, but it's also the
Besides
most
maybe the
drag
Vatican.
but it's also one of the most drag-friendly countries in the world. So there's two forces coming at each other. So we'll see about that. We'll see who comes out top. Because how could you say that this is insulting to your religion unless you're saying drag is bad? And you don't get, that's blasphemy. Okay, by Filipino standards, that is blasphemy. Okay. So I don't know if you can. So yeah, I don't know.
I
This
love
person is. Yeah, go on.
I loved the performance though, and I love like satire and creative expression. And this joke from Adam Richter nearly made me spit out my drink. He said, "Now that is what I call transubstantiation."
But look at when they say
Amazing
drag
Catholic
is,
joke. Amazing Catholic joke. I'm sorry.
When they say drag is a form of art, I mean, they're right. I mean, look at this. It's done. Like, this is art. This is art. I mean, the Catholic Church should be thanking you. Like, she's doing a better job at portraying Jesus than you ever have. This is a work of art.
Jesus
they're celebrating
looks fierce.
Yeah, exactly. Look at this. This is this person's way of celebrating your mumbo jumbo. This is a modern version of how it's done. You guys are losing such relevancy. You're going to be begging these modern ways of expression to keep you relevant at some point. You think this is blasphemy at some point? Give it a few decades. You're going to be begging modern ways of expression to come out, making sure that your religion doesn't die out.
Honestly, you're not wrong.
You're going to wish people like this were celebrated at this time at some point, because that's the only way you're going to stay relevant.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's the video. Yeah, there's more. Oh, let's see comments here. So what is this? Don't spread the video.
Yeah, don't spread the video. I already reported that video last night because it disrespected not just us, but God also.
It's a creation. Okay, disrespected God? Then your God is pathetically weak if this is how it gets disrespected. Oh, look at this. People angry. Look at...
Really disrespectful. Must be in prison.
Okay.
And D has a very good point. D is saying people nailed to crosses on Easter is more blasphemous, I think. Like,
what?
Because they do that in the Philippines. They actually redo the crucifixion in the Philippines. In the Catholic Church, the official Catholic Church actually comes out and says, guys, don't do this. Don't do this. This is heretical.
Yeah, I mean, based on the Catholic standards, I mean, you know what's blasphemous? Remembering Jesus with bunnies that poop chocolate egg. What that is, that was like that. What does that got to do with anything? Like, oh yeah, this disrespects Jesus. At least she's wearing the outfit that looks like Jesus. What does bunnies pooping chocolate eggs got to do with Jesus? That is.
I was raised a Christian. No one ever told me that the bunnies poop the eggs, Armin. I don't know where you're getting that from.
Where else would they get it out? Where else would it come out of?
Who says that it comes from the bunnies?
The bunnies are laying the eggs.
No, they're not.
Yes, they are. I have pictures. The bunnies are laying the eggs. Given that they're not birds, I decide which hole it comes out of, because it's all made up, and I say it's coming out of their butthole. Change my mind.
Oh my god.
Read. Oh, Gagin American with the $2 super chat. You want to read that?
He's saying, slay thine temptations.
And also this comment on the Twitter. Read that one.
Someone is. Oh, you just took it away from me. Saying, what's wrong with disrespecting the faith that has disrespected the LGBT community since time immemorial? This is nothing compared to the inconceivable horrors inflicted by religion upon the LGBT community throughout history.
Exactly. Okay, and Kenny is saying, wait, what did I say exactly? What's wrong with
that the bunnies poop eggs?
Exactly. So you hold on. Let me bring this one. Kenny is saying, but bunnies don't lay eggs, Armin. That's my point. You think I don't know that? Thank you, Kenny. That's what I'm saying. Given that they made up this imaginary breed of bunnies that lays egg, I get to decide.
Who
It's all
said
made
that the
up.
bunnies lay eggs? I did Easter egg
Oh
hunts
my
my
god,
entire life, and it was never
they
like
do. Like
the eggs come from the bunnies.
they do. That's what they say. How do you not know this?
Have
The
you
bunnies
been
are
doing
laying the
this since
eggs.
you were a child?
You've been doing it wrong. I read up. Okay, I know this. Okay.
Oh my god.
Where do they come from? Where did the chocolate eggs come from? Where did they tell you to come? Should I do some research? You want me to do some research? Okay, this is a very disgusting picture of bunnies laying eggs. So I can't show you that because that's a lot of blood involved. Okay, but let me show you this at least.
Oh
Okay.
god.
Okay. Wait, hold on. This is how I think this is how the process this is how it works.
Armin, what the
This is
fuck?
how the eggs I guess I know that's how they say that's how Easter eggs are made. Okay, I'm sorry you didn't know that. Okay, can we clap for the next news?
Sure.
Okay.
This is the hard hitting news and analysis I come to AR for.
All right. Okay. Next news.
Next
Can't
news.
have it. Take it. Can't take it anymore. Okay. Next news.
Next news. Iranian University. Stop laughing. This is serious. Okay. Iranian university ban women's stand against mandatory hijab. Amid an ongoing revolution sparked by the death of Masa Amini in 2022, female students in Iran are taking a stand against the country's mandatory hijab laws, resulting in disciplinary hearings, suspensions, and threats of 0 grades. Around 60 female students have been barred from their universities with threats of expulsion if they fail to adhere to the hijab requirements. Despite this, students are fighting back, posting videos on social media in defiance of the harassment they face. Quote, we've been mass banned from the campus for refusing to wear a hijab, and in the past few days there has been a violent crackdown on us for peacefully sitting in protest, said one female student. Jasmine Ramsey, deputy director of the Center for Human Rights in Iran, criticized the Iranian disciplinary committees in Iran, saying, quote, recent developments have revealed that university disciplinary committees in Iran have conducted sham hearings where students and professors are treated as guilty without any opportunity to prove their innocence. This rising tension in Iran's educational institutions underscores the battle between the push for personal freedom by the younger generation and the stern cultural mandates enforced by the state, revealing a profound shift in social attitudes and bringing a new urgency to to the struggle for women's rights in Iran. So this was really interesting. There was a huge piece in The Guardian about all the ways that Iranian students are combating mandatory hijab and the consequences that they're facing. So like they will have like security officials come knocking on their dormitory doors, like asking them about their social media postings, who they're following, why they're not wearing hijab. There's like just a litany of different ways in which they're cracking down on these students. But Armin, have you heard about this recently?
Oh yeah, of course. This has
Well, tell
been
us what
all
you
over the
know because
news.
you get more information
Yeah,
in
yeah.
Farsi.
Well, let me just give you a better understanding of the thing that is happening. This is the cat is out of the bag. Like this cannot be undone. The movement of women in Iran just choosing not to wear their hijab is just too widespread right now. That the government is going to be impossible for the government to reverse this trend. However, the problem that the government is having is that it needs to try to send signals to the religious people, to the religious part of the country, that it's doing something. And even though the government itself realizes that it's too late, that this can't be undone, it needs to sometimes do some extreme measures so that the religious radicals in Iran, who are more dangerous to the government than the secular revolutionaries against the government, they sometimes feel satisfied that the government is trying to do something. And it's actually the government, to be fair to the, I mean, I don't want to say be fair to the regime, but what they're doing is smart. Okay, so they know that this is happening and they can't do anything about it. But what I noticed within the uber religious Muslims in Iran, that they say, if you don't do this, we will topple the government. This is the religious people saying, if you don't make the country more Islamic. Every time they do a symbolic move like this, and they see girls screaming and girls being upset and girls being afraid, it shuts them down. They like go and share this video and they're happy about it. They're like so orgasmic about how women suffering, and the fact, the idea that the government is like cracking down on the violations of hijab rules and stuff. And for some time they get quiet, they feel like something is happening. But if you look at the overall trend, it's just moving so much against their favor. But it's like these types of actions is like red meat to their radical base that the government needs to throw at these people just to keep them quiet for a while. And it's working, it's really working. So it's kind of like a going back and forth, like so they loosen up the enforcement of the rules, and then the religious people scream out loud and like, what the hell you're doing, so they toughen it up a little bit, or so in some places. And then the people the videos come out, lots of video comes out of the way that they're harassing women, and that reaction becomes higher. So they go, it's like a seesaw, they go back and forth, but the overall trend is in the direction of loosening. But again, this is never going to end, because even if the hijab becomes completely voluntarily, the next thing would be, I don't know, alcohol. The next thing would be dancing. The next thing would be women singing. The next thing would be, I don't know, the right to protest. The next thing would be the right to burn the Quran. The right to, like, this is some people who say like, oh no, we have reduced this revolution to hijab, and now if hijab becomes voluntarily, now there's nothing to fight for. That they're wrong. There's so many things that people could go, the next fight could be on. Anyways, I talked for so long about this, so I'm going to stop.
No, I love it, because you told me something pretty extraordinary. You told me that you heard from someone that visited Iran recently, that they went through border control and there were women who were not wearing mandatory hijab.
Yes.
In the border control. And can you tell that story? Like, that was crazy.
Yeah, people were coming into Iran, and they didn't have the hijab on the plane. And when they were coming into Iran, showing their passport, passing the security, they didn't put the hijab on to go through security. And he told me that nobody told them anything. They just went through security, went to Iran. Nobody told them once anything about them not having a hijab. That's how
so crazy. So when you hear that, like, growing up the way that you grew up, like, what do you even think? I can't believe it. Can your mind even comprehend?
No, I can't. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. Like, I could not ever imagine in my wildest dream that this was where we would be at by this time. Yeah. But that's probably, but guys, this is not the fight is never over. Okay, even if this is happening, there's so much. They're still killing people for burning the Quran. So we just had 2 executions, many more executions for other reasons. So again, remember that this is not a done deal, but even close. Anyways, we need to move on, because I do have a Persian show coming up very soon.
And Sayak is reminding people, please like the stream, like the video, guys. It supports us a lot. And don't forget to subscribe. We're very close to 40K. Let's get there together. And Watcher also gave a super chat. Thank you, Watcher. Saying, did you see the guest recommendations that I sent to Armin? So you sent them to me. I need to tell them to Armin. I'm not even going to lie. We've been stretched very thin recently. So but
Yes.
I will talk to him about it because I think he would be interested.
Yes, my hands are so full right now, especially so. But we'll try to take a look at it. But thank you. Sorry if we can't get back to you right away on these things. Apologies for that. But yeah, thank you for the support. Oh, sorry, I didn't write that properly. So, Susie, let's not do the last news today because I have something coming, and we could do this next week. This last news, for we could do it.
Okay.
But okay, so this news that we're gonna do now will be the last news, just because we're hitting it so close to my Persian show. Guys, I'm doing streams back to back. I don't have any, so this is not okay. So we'll do this. Will be our last news, and the news that we have that is AR related, we'll move that to next week because it's not that
easy.
Easy. Okay.
This is funny and easy.
Oh, thank you, Chair, saying all good. Okay. All right.
We're working hard, you guys.
Yeah. Can we clap for the next news? Yes.
Yeah, this is just silly.
Okay, silly news. I love silly news. Next news.
Barbie backlash. Pastor calls for holy judgment over alleged LGBT content. The forthcoming Barbie movie starring Margot Robbie and directed by Greta Gerwig is at the heart of a new controversy, with Tennessee-based pastor Kent Christmas calling for a holy judgment on the film over its alleged LGBT content. Despite little information regarding the movie's tightly guarded plot or its representation of such supposed LGBT themes, Christmas decried it in a recent sermon, saying, "I curse in the name of the Lord this new Bible Barbie movie that has been released full of transsexual and transgender and homosexuality." The film, which does have LGBT cast members, is scheduled to be released in July amidst a climate of increasing cultural dialogue and debate on diverse representation in media. So, Armin, if you, in our news article, we should have a clip of him preaching. Yeah, here we go. No, scroll down. There we go. Let's take a listen to what he had to say. You're muted.
Okay, so we're doing this with audio then, right? So
yes.
Let me turn on. I need to turn on multiple
Let's get his
audio.
full statement.
Okay, sounds good. Let's do that. Play.
And I curse.
Hey, wait, I don't have audio. Unmute.
And I curse in the name of the Lord Barbie movie that has been released full of transsexual and transgender and homosexuality. In the name of the Lord, make God loose a holy judgment.
What?
Hallelujah. Go ahead and write in all that you want. What's happened is the church has been so intimidated and so silent that we're afraid to stand up and declare, "Thus saith the Lord." And
I never heard. I never thought I would ever hear. Yeah.
Go ahead.
I never thought I would ever hear in the name of the Lord, I'll curse this Barbie movie. That is a phrase I never thought I would ever hear in my life. So
you heard it first. I was listening to that clip and I was like, what he's saying is like almost unintelligible. Like, what are you even saying? There's several sentences where he doesn't even completely finish because it's just like, "And I say in the Lord that the Christians, we need to blah, blah, blah." I'm like, what? I lost the plot, dude. What was even the thought you were having? I don't know why they're so pissed. I don't know if it's because there's like lesbians and transgender people that are like part of the cast of this movie, or there's a running conspiracy theory within the LGBT community that Barbie is actually a lesbian. But the whole thing is like, no one really knows what the plot of this movie is supposed to be about. Like the production company has kept it like very tightly sealed, for this big release, blah, blah, blah. So it's like, how do you even know that there is LGBT themes in it? Like, do you think it's LGBT because, the Ken doll, he is dressed in pink. Like, he does look like by many people's standards or stereotypes, like gay, but he's also a Ken doll. Like he's a toy. That's the whole point, is to be exaggerated. Like I just don't understand.
Yeah. Okay, so quickly, I need to also mention a couple of things before we look at the super chats. The main controversy about this new story, the Barbie movie, was this map, because they had this map that they showed in the movie had the 7 dash lines in there, right? And the 7 dash line in there is like it makes the whole map pro Chinese. That's why this movie is banned in Vietnam, because of these lines here on this map, which is the 7 dash lines, which shows where China's territory over the sea is there. So just having this dash 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 here made this movie illegal in Vietnam. So go look that up. Which is okay. So there's that, and also I really have to go fast. So let's look at the super chats. Satish Singh is saying, "Thank you so much for the super chat." Saying Iranians are very nice people. Again, guys, I appreciate the not all. Okay, no group of people are all very nice. Every group of people has good, it's nice and bad people. But thank you for trying to be nice. And then it continues saying, Meral Yazarlu is an Yazarlu. I think that's how you read it. Yazarlu. Okay. Yeah, Yazarlu. Moral Yazarlu is an inspiration for most Indian bikers. Love your work from India. Oh, thank you. I actually didn't know about her. I just went and checked who she is, and apparently she is an Iranian biker in India.
Oh,
and
that's
apparently
badass.
So apparently she lives in India. She's born in Iran, and apparently she's an inspiration for Indian bikers. I didn't know.
Love
so thank you for
a motorcycle riding baddie. Love to see it.
Yeah. So interesting. I didn't know that she exists. Okay. Thank you for that. Puya with the $10 super chat saying, you want to read this one? Because
yeah, my novel series I decided to dedicate to the revolutionaries of Iran. Wow. I'll do 3-ish books with my first. After you could consider help market my books, or shaking my head or something. Tessel the Shadow of Death is already out. Interesting.
Okay, well, guys, check that out. Here's the name of the book. That's it. Go check it out if you're interested in this.
I mean,
sounds
we
pretty
can't
cool. Yeah.
Market things that are for profit.
Oh wait, we can't. Yeah, you're right, guys. We are not supposed to market anything that is for profit, but we're just reading a super chat right now. So that's what we just did. Got it. Thank you, Susie. That's the rules of you're right. So yeah, you know the rules. Good.
I'm CEO for a reason.
Yes. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for all the support. Thank you so much for the kindness. Make sure you leave a like and leave a comment so that the channel grows and more people see these videos. Sorry that I'm rushing and going away. I have another stream on Atheist Republic's Persian channel. And also, by the way, this last super Puya Saturi YouTube is telling me that's the first super chat that he has given. So thank you so much for your first super chat to us. And again, sorry for rushing. Don't forget to like. I need to go to Atheist Republic's Persian channel. If you speak Persian, come to Jumhuriye Bi Khodayan. That's Atheist Republic's Persian channel. I will continue our show over there. That will be about something else. Anyways, love you all. Thank you and bye. Mwah.
Bye.